Pretentious, pompous, patronising. Hell, I admit it, I was all of these things when I first started to listen to this band. So much so that if somebody had have asked me if I was into OMD, I would have scoffed and gone, we don't abbreviate, it's Orchestral Manoeuvres in the Dark. But if I was so much older then, am I younger than that now? And does this album still stack up? Let's find out. The year is 1981, and Orchestral Manoeuvres, or OMD, are riding semi-high with the success of the single Enola Gay and the wonderful album Organisation, when they, to enter the new decade, decide to go for broke with Architecture and Morality. Well, not quite literally, they did that with their next album. They reject the excesses of the 1970s and become the antithesis of what we will sometimes remember the 1980s to be. This is stripping music back to its roots and presenting a new way, a new sound with electronics, synthesizers, drum machines, and live performances, it must be said, in a way to reject the old Stone Age and bring things back to the new Stone Age. And that's the title of the first song, The New Stone Age. And what a chaotic assault it is on our ears. I don't think Orchestral Manoeuvres ever sounded so abrasive before. And it reminds me a lot of Joy Division's opening track to the Closer album, Atrocity Exhibition, when they say, this is the way, step inside. Here it is, we have, this is the room, this is the wall, this is the body I've been hoping for. Oh my God, what have we done? And we have these chaotic, dissonant, disjointed backup singers which are echoing these lines, which make them sound like the sirens from mythology, drawing the times towards the rocks to destroy. The synths are shrill and cold and ominous as we move from this song into the album proper. It's a wonderful, horrifying and terrifying opening to Architecture and Morality. She's Leaving Home, She's Leaving is the next track up on the album. And immediately we're offered a panacea from the abrasiveness of the New Stone Age. The keyboards, the synths are a lot warmer, and the persona is looking back and perhaps understanding that she might have had a damn good reason for leaving, and the acuteness of the pain that the persona feels is maybe sharper now than it was at the time when she first left. This is a gorgeous song and really offers the sense of a pop song just waiting to blossom and emerge. And blossom it did. I mean, God forbid that they would ever write a pretty pop song, but here they have, with a melody and a tune which is instantly recognizable. Andy thought it was such a sellout that he refused to sing it, and so Paul took over and did a magnificent job. And then Andy was relegated to playing, accompanying bass from one of his interviews, which he hated to do on the song. I mean, this hook will stay in your head forever. It certainly has in mine. It's a gorgeous, beautiful song, once again about yearning, loss, regret. Or is it just that it stays in your head because of those uncanny pop smarts that OMD had by putting in at the end of every chorus, my feelings still remain. I don't know. I've still got it in my head all these years later. Souvenir, what a classic. Next up is my highlight on the album, and not just because it's the third song in a row which starts with the letter S. No, it's Sealand. And this is atmosphere at its finest. One can almost imagine standing at the railing of a ship, glancing out to the infinite vastness of the horizon as this sonic palette is used to recreate this journey. The song ebbs and flows throughout like the ship on the waters. And I know this has a historical and contextual background to something different, but to me the lyrics again are ones of yearning and loss, potentially of a woman. And I get this sense that maybe she's drowned. Am I reading too much into this? I don't know. Maybe she's drowned, and that the song is a dawning of a new age, because when those industrial sounds come in, that dun 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 dun, it's like, to me, hammering in the nails into a coffin. And while this is the dawning of a new age because the persona must move on, this could be completely, I could be completely wrong here. But we finish with keyboards so soft that they are like a requiem, and there's a funereal tone to the ending of this song, which is very moving indeed. I don't know. If you haven't appreciated Sealand for quite a while, I recommend turning out the lights, putting the headphones off, and just being taken away on this incredible voyage. It's a trip, and it's major wow. And now we come up to the in-joke side of the album as we flip the disc, where we get two songs about Joan of Arc. Did we need two songs? Well, they both work very, very well on this album. The first one, Joan of Arc, introduces us to the spirit of Joan of Arc. Can I say Joan of Arc any more times than I need to when talking about these two songs? But we exorcise the spirit of the ghost of Joan of Arc. I've said it again. And I love the use of the bells here to give us that sense of religiosity. Is that even a word? If not, I'm making it up now. And the spirituality of the character. I find the lyrics a little bit confusing here, but still they're ones about yearning and love and loss. And it's a beautiful, wonderful pop song, which is a little bit more sophisticated, definitely, than your average pop song from 1981. And I'm really glad it got the success it deserved. But then we move into Joan of Arc, Maid of Orleans. Is that how you pronounce it? Let's hope so. And I wonder whether this is OMD's, this is sacrilegious, I know, but is this their Mull of Kintyre moment? Because initially, apparently, Andy didn't like the song, and then it got resurrected and brought back onto the album. And I can kind of get a sense why, but it's still absolutely beautiful. And I love those pounding drums at the end. They're just absolutely superb. Who would have thought this was destined to be a single? Another anti-war song, and it's a beautiful waltz that is created, giving us that sense of journey and sense of battle. So, two Joan of Arc. There we go again. There's no way around it. Two songs about the same subject, and both work brilliantly to start side two, both back to back. The title track is next, and with the exception of backing vocals, or is that synthesizer, I'm not sure, it's an instrumental. And I absolutely adore this song. The ominous bass that begins this song presents us with a build to a crescendo that something imminent is about to happen, and there's a cold austerity to what is going on. All of the sounds are extraordinarily industrial and mechanized, and then it does build to this crescendo with a stentorian voice, and then just dissipates into nothingness. Architecture and morality. It has a grandeur to this song that is completely fitting with the rest of the album. And after the two songs about Joan of Arc, about yearning and loss and the power and the devastation of war, this song brings us back to the New Stone Age again, where we're offered the parallels between the past and the present, all in the form of an instrumental. That's quite an achievement. The jaunty arpeggiated keyboards introduce us to Georgia, the jaunty Georgia. And this song's got some energy, it's got some oomph, it's got some pace to it, which is, I think, something that we needed after the title track. Still, discrete sound effects keep us in that industrialized world full of mechanization and austerity. And this is juxtaposed, though, with the choir chorus, which builds and builds and builds as it does to that crescendo again. We finish with a funereal keyboard note, which is then punctuated by the sound of a door slamming, or is it a gun going off, and perhaps saying that all that energy and enthusiasm that we may have possessed at this point is now being turned away and slammed on us forever. And this is only too appropriate as we move on to the final track on the album, The Beginning and the End. It starts with a clock ticking, perhaps as always suggesting that time will run out, that the time on this album is going to run out, but also the lyrics suggesting that perhaps this is the beginning of a new phase for OMD, or perhaps for humanity as a whole, that we can seize this opportunity now and heed the warnings that we've been given throughout this album and find a way to instill love and joy and move on with our lives in a way that is beneficial to all. But it's interestingly enough, if this was heralding the beginning of a new wave or a new mark to Orchestral Manoeuvres in the Dark, it was almost about the end of the journey for me. I did buy Dazzle Ships, and I find a lot to recommend and to enjoy in that album. I probably will need to do a review of it at some stage. But after that, Junk Culture left me cold, very cold indeed. And that album became a frisbee, which one day maybe will return to me, or I might find it. But it was sort of the end for me with my journey with OMD, or Orchestral Manoeuvres in the Dark. Still, what a astonishingly brilliant album this one is. OMG, OMD. I can't thank them enough for producing this album, and it became the soundtrack to many parts of my life. When I got my first copy of this album in Australia, it was released with a yellow cover, which hopefully you can see right there. Although I hope you appreciate that that is not a picture of the original cover from the album that I got, but one that I stole from Google Images. And this is the one that I have now. Great story to this. I was in London with a friend of mine and his daughter who was starting to get into music. And we were in Sister Ray's great shop in London, and I saw a copy of this, an original pressing. I think it was something like £10. And I thought, do you know what I'm going to do? I'll buy it for my friend's daughter, and to really help educate her in what great music is. 6 months later, I kept asking, so has she listened to it? Has she listened to it? And she hadn't. And so a little while later, the message got out that perhaps we should liberate that album from her possession, and it should find a rightful home back with me where I live. And so that's exactly what happened. I think she acceded to the request quite happily, though. And I also remember listening to this album constantly when I returned to London after a gap of many, many years. I'd find myself walking the streets at like 5 a.m. in the morning, no one around, just a sense of the dawn breaking, and I would have my headphones on listening to it. And so it became, every time I went to London, it became my go-to soundtrack. So much so that one year, I think it was maybe 2018, I'm not sure, one year I was over in London, I decided to write an album of my own, which was inspired by architecture and morality. And I'm putting a link to one of the songs that you can enjoy if you'd like to down below in the comments. So it has been a pivotal moment, a pivotal album in my life, and one which firmly is entrenched in my top 20 or so albums that I've ever listened to. Architecture and Morality by Orchestral Manoeuvres in the Dark. Some things are hard to let go. So that's it from the Institute of Pop for now. I hope you enjoyed watching, and thank you so much for watching. And if you'd like to leave your thoughts in the comments, then that'd be great, and I'll get back to you. OMD is a really interesting one because there's so many people on the internet who know so much about this album and this band. And I would always sort of preface what I say by appreciating that there are many people who know more about these albums than I do. What I know is my reaction to it. And let's face it, if music gives you pleasure in any way, shape or form, then who am I to argue with your opinion? As always, it's been a major blast. So keep listening, stay safe, and bye now.